Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to do another Swedish beer, and this is a brewery who are really well known internationally these days, and they're particularly famed when it comes to imperial stouts, and I'm really looking forward to this beer actually. So for this one we're going to head back up to Stockholm and we're having a taste of another beer from Omnipollo. This one, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, is called the Gimbagagompa, and it's described as a coffee vanilla granola imperial stout. There you can see the nice sort of Milky Way type artwork on this one, which is really cool. I mean, this is one of the things, the artwork that you get on the Omnipollo beers is always really cool. I mean, I know my friend Peter over at the Clueless Drinker, he really loves the sort of almost minimalist artwork that you get on these Omnipollo beers. But as I say, they're really famed for their imperial stouts, and this is yet another one that came out fairly recently, I believe, in the small partiers through Systembolaget here in Sweden. So really looking forward to this one, and as always, I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. So we'll see how we get on. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Omnipollo before. There must be about 14 or 15 of them up there. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Omnipollo then. So as I told you, these guys are quite an interesting company. So Omnipollo was founded back in 2011 by Henok Fenty, who was a long-time homebrewer. I believe he's an ethnic Ethiopian, if I'm remembering correctly. And there's also Carl Grandin, who is a clothing designer as well. But the two met one day, and they really decided that, you know, when they decided to start a brewery together, they had been discussing the kind of insular craft beer scene that existed already in Sweden. 2011, and when you consider the development in the sort of Scandinavian beer scene, you know, 2011 to 2018 is a hell of a lot of time, and it's really advanced quite a lot in that period of time. But they said they wanted to kind of reinvigorate the craft beer scene, both from like a gastronomic sense, I guess you could say, and also from a stylistic sense as well. So they felt that this kind of partnership between a home brewer and a clothing designer was actually really logical. So the name Omnipollo is derived from omnipotent chicken. Pollo, of course, in Spanish means chicken. So these guys are gypsy brewers. They've got no brewery of their own, and they use spare capacity at other breweries, and they brew many collaboration beers as a result of this actually, and they're currently exporting to somewhere around 30 or 40 countries these days, and they're constantly expanding, of course. Most of their imperial stouts, from what I gather, are actually brewed at the Dugas Brewery, which is down in Gothenburg. I want to say Landvetter they're based in. It's either Landvetter or Mölnlycke. Both, you know, most of the craft breweries are based in those two areas in Gothenburg these days, and they also brew a number of their beers at the Proefbrouwerij in Lochristi Heifte in Ghent in Belgium as well, which is you know, I think Mikkeler and Toul and a lot of other guys brew their beers down there as well. But as I say, these guys, gypsy brewers, they've also got their Omnipollo's Hat Bar in Stockholm, which does really good pizza, and you can get a lot of the Omnipollo beers there on tap, as well as collaborations and a few guest beers as well, but mainly it's their own stuff. And the pizza, like I say, is really damn good as well, so I would recommend that you go and check that out if you find yourself in Stockholm. I went there with my dad and we really enjoyed it, and I was there just a couple of days ago as well actually, when I was up in Stockholm with work. So yeah, really interesting brewery, these ones. Like I say, they're very well known for their imperial stouts. They put flavour essence in their beers as well, but you know, their kind of straight up beers always tend to be very good as well. It's a whole different ball game when you start, you know, putting flavour essence and things in the beers. It's actually very impressive at some of the stuff that they pull off actually. So if you want to have a go at some of these beers, I highly recommend that you do, and they are getting fairly readily available worldwide as well. I think in Australia and New Zealand you can get them, South America, North America, all throughout Europe. I think even in Japan you can actually get some of these beers as well, so definitely worth checking out if you're particularly interested in Swedish craft beer. So let's leave it at that for just now. If you want to read a little bit more and see all the different beers that they've done, check out the brewery website in the description below. But let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. You can see on the camera this beer's been sweating a little bit since it's been out of the fridge, but there you can see the really nice Milky Way type artwork on this one. You know, being an astrophysicist or astrochemist, I guess I could say spectroscopist by trade, I think I'm definitely going to keep a hold of this bottle. I really quite like that one. As always, With Omnipollo, you've got a plain bottle cap on this one, and there you can see on the back there is the little bit about the beer itself. But yeah, as I say, an 11% Imperial Stout, this one, coffee, vanilla, granola Imperial Stout, these guys are describing it at. This one was brewed at Brouwerij de Molen in the Netherlands actually, which is quite cool. You know, they're really famed for their Rasputin Imperial Stout, which you saw me review not all that long ago. That was one that I'd wanted to review for quite some time. So without further ado, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting then. Really looking forward to this beer. So yeah, as you can see, nice smoky opening on this one, and we'll get it out and into the glass. I do suspect with this beer that this one, judging by what they're calling it, you know, coffee, vanilla, granola, Imperial Stout, this one I think will be one of their kind of straight up beers, if that makes sense. I don't see them adding flavour essence and things to this one, but yeah, we'll see how we get on with it. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a really nice dark sort of ebony rosewood colour. There's a solid half finger of a frothy, I would say very dark tan head on this one. If you sugar the beer up actually, it gets even darker. I mean, look at how oily that beer is. That's simply the booze in the beer that is making it that oily. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there, but overall it looks really, really quite nice actually. So let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. When I'm sugaring the beer around, you really can smell some of the vanilla and the sort of granola notes out of this one. So let's take a closer look and see how we get on then. Oh, this is always the thing with these Omnipollo beers. You really get beautiful aromas from them. Yeah, as I always say, take a little bit of time and just enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. That's always half the thing when it comes to craft beer. It's just, especially with beers like this, especially the big Imperial Stouts, the Scotch Ales, the Doppelbocks, the Quads, the Tripels, all of these kind of beers. You really get some beautiful aromas. The coffee notes in this are lovely. They're very, very smooth actually. It's got this lovely kind of smooth, almost, you know, this lovely smooth coffee note to it. As I've told you in many of these kind of coffee stout reviews that I've done before, I don't drink coffee, but you know, you really can appreciate the smell of some of these beans and things like that. You can really tell the difference in the aroma of a good coffee bean and a lower quality coffee bean. For me, this one's just got a really nice smooth quality to it. There's a lot of vanilla coming out of the aroma in this beer as well, and with the granola's really interesting because it's this kind of it's this sort of, you know, just it's almost like a breakfast. It's got a little bit of honey in it, it's got nuts and everything like that, and you just eat it for your breakfast. You really can get a little bit of that nice nutty sweetness in there. The honey's coming out. I do wonder if there's a little bit of a stronger brown sugar note to this one. There's definitely a milky chocolatey element to the beer as well, which you know you'd expect from an Imperial Stout. But the vanilla, the nuts, the coffee, that lovely smooth coffee that's in this beer, it's almost got a little touch of a woody note to it as well. But this beer, the aroma really leans towards the malty side of things. On the aroma, you can get like a little tiny touch of a red fruity note to it. It's just got an almost tiny little bit of a figgy quality to the aroma, but really it leans really towards those big kind of malty notes to this one. I would assume that they've added the granola, they've added the coffee and the vanilla to this beer. I don't think it will be flavour essence that they've put in this one, to be honest. But yeah, it does smell beautiful. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma for yourself. There's maybe a little bit of an earthy hop in there, which again is what you'd expect from an Imperial Stout, but it does smell really, really beautiful. The smoothness of the coffee in this one's really what's standing out to me. So just take a little bit of time and enjoy that for yourself. But let's have a taste of this one then. So this one, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, the Gimbagagompa from Omnipollo, one of the gypsy brewers that live in Stockholm in Sweden. This one in particular brewed at Brouwerij de Molen in Bodegraven in the Netherlands. Let's get stuck into this beer. An 11% coffee, vanilla, granola Imperial Stout. Let's have a taste of this one. Slange, skål. Yeah, that's just a really beautiful beer. The first thing I would say about this one is that it's quite dark. in comparison to what you would think. You know, the aroma is very, very sweet smelling, but it's got a nice darkness to it. And in fairness, you might expect that because it's a coffee stout, but at the same time, you know, compared to the aroma, this one, it's got a lot more bitterness to it than you might expect. But that's a lovely beer. You know, it's not a surprise to get another pretty damn good Imperial Stout from Omnipollo. And I have to admit, I would say the ones that are a little bit more natural, if you like, the ones that are a little bit more straight up, such as I suspect this one is, to me, they turn out really well. They had a really good one that was, I'm sure it was Between the Lines, and that was one that they did with Trillium. That was, you know, back in, I want to say 2016 that they had that beer. That's one of the best Imperial Stouts that I've had from Omnipollo, and this one, as I say, this is a kind of coffee version of that, if that makes sense. This is a beautiful beer. Have a go at this if you get the chance. Can't remember how much I paid for this beer. If I want to say it was £80. So I mean, for an 11% Imperial Stout, it's not too bad at all, I have to say. But as I always say with these dark beers, sugar them around your palate and just let your whole mouth adjust before you start analysing the flavour too much. So with this one, it really is very nice. You can feel that nice roasted black malt backbone to this beer. That's just blankets the middle of your tongue. On top of that, you start to get the nice sort of grainy, bready notes. That granola flavour is really sitting there in the middle of your palate. You can feel the sort of, I want to say the chocolate in this beer. It has got a little bit of a milky quality to it, and the vanilla's kind of sitting in there as well. But there is also a little bit of a darker, higher cocoa chocolate. As you go out from the centre of the tongue towards the edge of your palate, the beer does get a little, the malt base at least, gets a little bit more kind of roasty, and you can really detect those black malt notes a little bit more, and the coffee is kind of mixing in with those black malt notes as well. The coffee really gives the beer a good little bit of bitterness in the kind of malty areas of the palate. But yeah, this one, it starts off quite sweet, and then it just evolves to be a little bit more of a nice kind of, it really evolves to a bit more of a kind of bitter beast, if that makes sense. But yeah, like I say, nice milky chocolate and vanilla sitting in the middle of your palate. You can, when you get further and further into the aftertaste, you can start to pick out, you know, the honey and a little bit of the brown sugary note from the granola as well, which is really nice. Towards the front of the palate, right in the, if you just go behind where you'd normally get the fruity esters, if you just sit in the middle of your tongue towards the front, you can really pick up the kind of nutty flavours out of this beer. There's maybe a little hint of a woody flavour as well, but the nice nutty notes, I think, are sitting towards the front of the palate as well. There's a hell of a lot going on in the malt base of this beer. So yeah, let's just pinpoint those flavours a little bit more. Right in the, as I say, the roasty black malt backbone, that's blanketing your tongue. On top of that, you can really pick out the nice kind of chocolatey notes, that kind of milky chocolate's in there. The vanilla feels as if it's infused to that. Come forward a little bit on your palate, then you start to get these nice nutty kind of qualities out of the beer. And the coffee smoothness, I think, you have to go from the middle of your palate out towards the edge. You really get that kind of bitter roasty coffee note out of this beer just before you can hit the hoppy sides of your palate, if that makes sense. On the hoppy side of the beer, back corners of the palate, there's a good bit of earthy bitterness to this one. You can really feel that in the back corners of the palate, but it smooths out as you come further forward along the sides of your tongue. There's not really an element of floral quality to this one, but you can get a little bit of grassiness just as you go round the very front curve of the palate there, and then behind the front curve of the tongue, of course, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those nice juicy fruity esters start to come out of the beer. Yeah, and this one, I mean, as I said, in the aroma, the fruity esters don't particularly come out in this one, but you get a nice little bit of a red fruity quality to this beer. I'm just trying to pinpoint what it is. Yeah, with this beer, it's got a nice little bit of a kind of, I want to say raisins with this one. It's got a nice little bit of that kind of raisiny quality to the beer, and then as you go further into the aftertaste, it kind of teeters off a little bit, and you get a little bit more of the kind of figgy, red fruity notes. And that, what's really coming out in the aftertaste is some of the earthy hop, and then the coffee is lingering there as well. You can really feel the beer starts to get a little bit grainy in the middle of the palate as well, and that'll be, you know, the granola and the nutty flavours start to push their way out a little bit more as well. But overall, it's a really, really nice beer, this one. Compared to some of the other Omnipollo ones that I've had, I suspect that this one is a bit more of a natural beer, if that makes sense. I don't think they've put the flavour essences in this one, and what makes me think that is just the way some of the flavours are coming out, to be honest with you. There might be a little bit, the vanilla I would suspect is maybe vanilla oil, the way it's coming out, but just the fact is with these, you know, with the granola, you can put all of those things in a brew and let it sit and ferment away. You know, all those sugars will be, you can convert those chemically speaking into alcohol. So I would suspect that this is a fairly I would think this is one of their more natural beers compared to some of the other ones that they do, like the Noah, you know, the cakey sort of flavoured beers. I think this one has a little bit more of a kind of natural thing to it. But the main point is with these Omnipollo beers, there's a little bit of debate about that when it comes to, you know, to the brewing side of things. But me personally, if the beer tastes good and they've done a good job with it, if they're putting a good product out there, you know, it's just another kind of take on brewing, if you like, for me. And they've produced another solid beer out of this one. This one's a little bit more roasty and toasty compared to some of the other Omnipollo beers that you're going to get. In terms of the mouthfeel, full-bodied, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Carbonation's very smooth. You can see how oily this beer is. The mouthfeel really is a big oily beast. The malt base is quite bitter in this one, but you do get a little bit of sweetness out of it as well, as I was describing. Good little bit of hoppy bitterness to this beer as well, and you've got a nice little touch of juicy fruit to it as well. Overall, in terms of the IBUs, I suspect it's somewhere around, you know, I would want to say about 60 or 70 for this one, because you're getting bitterness both from the malt base and from the hops in this one. So I think maybe around the 70 IBU for this one. That would be that is a guess. It could be maybe nearer 60 right enough, but the bitterness in this beer is pretty good, and like I say, this is one of the more roasty, toasty imperial stouts that you're going to get from Omnipollo. But another really, really nice beer. If you like coffee stouts, this one I think is going to hit the spot for you. It really is a very nice coffee stout, this beer. So let's leave it at that. It's another cracking beer from Omnipollo, and I think one of the more natural ones, and a more roasty, toasty imperial stout from these guys. But I've really enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on it too. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Omnipollo as well. You will no doubt see me review some more beers from these guys fairly soon, because they're always putting out different stuff. But thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out my social media. This was the Gimbagagompa, which was a coffee, vanilla, granola, imperial stout at 11% from Omnipollo Gypsy Brewers from Stockholm in Sweden. Until the next time, it's Lange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Skål.